I think it is time for us to collectively come together and recognize that the labels we have associated with feminine and masculine energies are not the full realm of what they are. We have now watered down femininity to just emotions and masculinity as structure, order, and physical strength. Being in your feminine energy, it does have a lot to do with emotions, but it's also nurturing, it's also free flowing, but it can also be chaotic and it can wreak havoc, aka Mother Nature. It can be really nice and it can be really beautiful, but it's also destructive. So I think that because feminine and masculine energy are opposites, it is common for people to think of them as the opposite of each other. So they kind of think one is good and one is bad, and that's not really the full realm of it. Feminine energy is that on its own, masculine energy is that on its own, and within each energies, they have their shadow selves within each one. For an example, you're thinking of yin and yang. Two energies, there's a little bit of yang in the yin and a little bit of yin in the yang. So now that I gave you a little bit of background on the feminine and masculine energies, I'm going to go ahead and get to the point of the actual video, which is a lot of these men who claim to be so masculine and so tough are actually in their feminine energy. And I will give you a couple examples on how wounded femininity or femininity within a masculine man who is not familiar with it or doesn't really have it under control, what that looks like. So one example is a masculine man who cannot make up his mind. An indecisive man is a man who is in his femininity, or his femininity is wounded, or he just doesn't have a good grasp on his femininity at all. Another example is men who, I won't say overly emotional, but they just don't know how to handle their big emotions. So I'm talking about the men who get mad when you don't text back, like just minor stuff, or they might not like your tone, so they just go to 0 to 100. Like there's no conversation, there's no corrective behavior. They just go straight to being petty. There's no, there's no communication with how they're feeling. It's just automatically acted upon. That's wounded femininity trait. These are usually the type of men who have narcissistic tendencies or manipulate women because they don't have a good handle on their emotions. So when things don't go their way, they throw temper tantrums or try to weaponize whatever it is that they have on you to throw it back in your face to make you feel bad for not accepting said behavior. Another thing I observed from these men also is that these men also tend to be obsessed with masculine and feminine energy. So I'll give me for an example. When men come across me, usually they want to say, oh, like you're very masculine. But what they mean is I am very no nonsense. I'm very logical. I'm not emotional and wild and free. You're not just going to get my heart because you're just whispering sweet nothings in my ear. You're going to have to back that shit up and you're going to have to prove it over time. So because I am guarded at first, rightfully so, until I can see behavior that is consistent, I'm considered masculine. Because I'm hardworking, I'm considered masculine. But in reality, I'm probably a lot more feminine than a lot of women out here. So I feel like a lot of men or people really have this idea of femininity because of what it looks like, what it sounds like. They were like, oh, if you want to be feminine, lay your hair down, straighten your hair, do your makeup, do your nails. That's stupid. Femininity is not anything topical. It's not anything external. It just is. It's what you are. So when men do get access to me and they access another side because I trust them and they have that access and I'm like, okay, you good. I done vetted you out. They're like, oh, you're not this all the time. I'm like, no, because there's a balance. However, you just have not unlocked that part. So here you are. Congratulations. You have been promoted. You are now one of my elite employees. But anyway, like I was saying, a lot of these men who claim to be so masculine and mastered their masculinity have not mastered their femininity, and their feminine is just running rampant. And they don't understand why their relationships are a mess, why they can't stick to one thing, and why they have no structure, and why their lives are a mess. And honestly, this can go towards men and women. I'm just giving you the traits of what it looks like in that man that claims he's so masculine and mastered himself or whatever. But honestly, you are the reason why your life is a mess. It's because your masculine energy is not balanced and it's not where it should be. The presence of one thing does not automatically mean the absence of another. So a lot of women hear masculine energy and they're just like, oh no, I don't want to be in that. But you can still be in your feminine energy and master your masculine. This life is about balance. You need to have both. You need to be able to have that structure and order with the masculine energy and still be free flowing and, be in your feminine energy. And you can do both, but you can't just fully be in your feminine all the time because you're going to be broke. You're going to be broke. That's just what it is. So you need to be able to learn how to be uncomfortable temporarily to know what you're working towards in the long term. Be able to plan. Don't lose sight of yourself, but explore your masculine energy for a bit. Just explore it, figure it out, see what your balance is, and I guarantee you your life and the way you think is going to change completely. It's going to change your life.